by what's called an amplification cascade. And there's a series of about 5 enzymes, all one right after the other. Okay? But the first enzyme, when activated, goes to the second one and can activate 1,000 of those. Each one of the second ones can activate 1,000 of the third ones, and so on and so on. So what happens is high-intensity exercise cleaves massive amounts of glycogen out of the muscle, empties it out, and produces a need for insulin sensitivity to be restored on the muscle cell. And when that happens, the glucose in your blood goes down, your serum insulin levels go down, and then all of a sudden this process can go this way instead of this way. And what you'll find is the synergistic effect of the two, of Mark Sisson's diet and this workout, are such that your body, it's almost too easy. Your body will auto-regulate towards your ideal body composition, which for most males will be 10 to 11% body fat. For most females, about 18%. For a guy like Patrick, he's probably hovering around 5%, just because that's his phenotype. But whatever is best for you, you will auto-regulate towards that. And that's the cool thing, is if you do it right, this really is your birthright. This is encoded in your DNA over millions of years, and it's only screwed up because of a misapplication of knowledge and technology. One of the biggest of which I want to close with here and is talk about fructose. Now, you know, carbohydrate and glucose are part of what drove this whole problem that I just spoke to you about. But once you're in this state, that process can be amplified by our modern diet. Okay, if you take table sugar or sucrose, that's just the linkage of a glucose molecule to a fructose molecule. When you eat it, there's a sucrase enzyme in your saliva and your stomach that breaks the two apart. And the free-floating fructose, when you're in this metabolic state where you can't go this way and you can't go this way and can only go this way, gets greatly amplified. Okay, fructose has the unique capability of still getting into the cell, but it doesn't need insulin to do so. It just diffuses straight in, is acted on by PFK, and just goes straight to body fat. Okay? Now, when I was a kid, that was bad because everything had sugar in it, but it was easy to identify. Okay? Your mom could pick up something and go, "Ooh, that's got a lot of sugar in it, I'm not going to get that," you know? Or, "No, we're not getting honeycombs, we're getting Cheerios," fill in the blank. But in 1981, Archer Daniels Midland came up with a cool invention made out of corn called high fructose corn syrup. And the problem with it is that food manufacturers that relied on sugar saw an opportunity, because you got to remember, the big selling point of high fructose corn syrup is that it's manufactured. Sugar has to be grown on plantations, mostly in the Caribbean, and it's traded on a commodities market. Futures traders try to predict the future and adjust price accordingly. So when hurricane season, a storm starts to brew out in the Gulf, they all freak out, price goes up. Well, if you're making Coca-Cola in the 1980s, doesn't matter. People still want to put 50 cents in the machine and get a Coke. But if your cost for sugar suddenly quadrupled, that's a real problem. Well, along comes ADM with the answer. So all of a sudden, you invent new Coke. And then you oversweeten it. And then everyone hates it. And you go back to classic Coke, which is the old recipe, except it's not sucrose, it's high fructose corn syrup. Makes you go, I don't know whether that's true or not, but what is true is high fructose corn syrup is extremely economical to use as a sweetener in all sorts of things. And most people are already living in this state. And the problem with high fructose corn syrup is it's still a glucose molecule and a fructose molecule linked together. So it's not necessarily any more evil than table sugar, and it does come from corn, if that's a good thing. But the real problem is that everyone's in this metabolic state, and it is everywhere. It's in your coat, it's in your Gatorade, it's in your bread, it's in your pizza sauce, it's in your peanut butter, it's in every damn thing you eat. Wouldn't be such a big deal if we weren't all already in this state. So you're just taking a problem that's like a fire and you're throwing gasoline on it. That is why we have this obesity epidemic that you see in the country. We have a metabolic derangement that for a large segment of the population, you guys included, began in utero. And it's still going on in places where you can't even find it or detect it. So that's my spiel on the paleo diet and why you should do it.